Hey guys, it's Carol, and thank you for stopping by and checking out my 2025 WIP Parade. This is where I share all of my works in progress, otherwise abbreviated as WIP, and I want to be able to share them with you. You'll see where I was last year with them, and I did my previous video right around this time in January last year, so this truly is pretty much a 1 year interval, which is great. And I also have some of my finishes. I'm not showing all my finishes. So I had 6 finishes in 2024. 3 of them were starts in the year, so they're not from last year's WIP Parade. I am only sharing the finishes that were in last year's WIP Parade, but if you are interested, I do have a video from I think 3 weeks ago that show those the finishes I'm not putting in this video. So go ahead and click the link for that. Otherwise, just get comfy. I'm cozy right now. I have a fire going behind me, so if you hear any snapping, it's the wood. It is a wood burning fireplace, so it's definitely got a little bit of popping every so often. I'm sure it's going to show up on mic. Just want to let you know, but it's a snow day here, so it's kind of nice having the fire going, enjoying, seeing we got 3 inches, and for here, that's a lot. Get comfy with me, and let's check out everything that I have currently as my projects. So first I'm launching in with my samplers. I don't really think of myself as a sampler stitcher. I enjoy them. I like looking at them, but I don't know, it's not something that I view as who I am. So I was kind of surprised this year when I realized exactly how many samplers I have. And first with my oldest is Heartstring Samplery Summertime Coverlets. I started this in the summer of 2018. And this is stitched on a 36 count Weeks Dye Works linen in the colorway linen. And it is stitched 1 thread over 2. This is the first project that I did 1 thread over 2 on 36 count. And it is using Gentle Arts Uniform Blue. This is one of my oldest projects. There are only 2 in here that are older. And I am apparently leading off with the project that either is going to get finished or it's gonna get UFO'd, which is an unfinished object. And I say, I'm never gonna finish this, and I'm gonna let all this beautiful fabric and stitching disappear into the bottom of a box somewhere. I wouldn't get rid of it. I don't know, I wouldn't even repurpose it. My plan, I think I'm gonna just try to get it done. I realize that part of my frustration with this is mostly that it's old and it's not complete. There is really nothing inherently wrong with this chart. I like what I have. I really adore this fabric. So the fact, I think when I sat down in preparation for this video and really looked at how large everything is, first of all, this is on a fat quarter, and it is going to take up most of this fat quarter. And up here is actually reasonably densely stitched. It's a little airier down at the bottom. Obviously I'm not there yet, so that's why I'm holding it this way. But I'm just trying to give myself a little grace on the fact where I've been like, why am I not done with this? Should be all the way done. It's not. I'm at 43%. It's because the entire upper part is only 2/3 of the chart. There's a decent amount of stuff stitched down here that I really want to stitch. And I've been holding off on stitching because I told myself back in 2018, I was going to stitch all the boring parts first. And the flowers are the kind of boring part, but they help anchor the entire design. And then I've been stuck there. And now I'm excited about this project again because I've given myself permission to come down here and stitch down here. There's beautiful flowers. There's a dog that kind of looks like my dog. So that's what I'm actually excited about. This is just okay, it's really pretty, but I'm now coming down here. It's almost like it feels like a new project to me. So really excited about that. In May of 2020, I decided I needed a project that was going to be very bright. And that, for me at the time, was Rosewood Manor's Dreaming of Tulips. It is stitched 2 over 2 on a 32 count white Belfast linen from Zweigart. I am using the called for Weeks Dye Works for the tulips proper, the bloom colors, everything that's basically the pink or the red. The greens, I am using a DMC substitution. It's working out fine. It's funny that almost 5 years later, I kind of wish I had just done the fancy floss for the entire thing. It'd make my life easier. Last year, doing the same WIP Parade, I think I said that I was hoping that I would get this done this year. So this project is not the biggest. It is 199 stitches by 199 stitches. So I guess I didn't think of it as being big for me. That seems like just an average size project. And an average size project, if I'm willing to put in dedicate time in it, should take me less than a year. I say should, it never does. Best intentions, all of that. I am at 32% done. The nice part, this is done. It's in the booklet. It's 3 pages across. This is the upper corner on this side. I like where I am. This is one that I definitely am prioritizing. Now, at the end of the video, I'm actually going to go back and tell you exactly which ones, and so you'll have like a list. I have a lot. I have 11 that I really would like to finish. Plus another couple that'd be nice if they get done, but if they don't, I mean, whatever. I'm already talking about doing, basically in order to finish everything that I want to this year, it's easily like 120,000 stitches. That's a lot. That's a lot of time. I stitch about 200 stitches an hour, give or take. So do the math on that. I'm not going to do it for you right now because I don't want to realize how many hours that I basically have already given away for my next year in order to get where I want to. But that's neither here nor there. This is a lot of fun. It's nice. It's pretty. I call this one a sampler, and this one kind of could have gone in either category, but I tend to think of it as more of a sampler versus one of my miscellaneous pieces because of the repetition of the word tulips and all of the different fonts really makes it kind of come across as more of a sampler where you're trying, like where they have the alphabets. It's about demonstrating your ability over control. So I think that showing the basically with all the different font styles, it's a sampler to me. So it's really pretty, and hopefully it looks far more done this time next year. Next in my sampler category is Modern Folk Embroideries, the Fruit of Plenty. I started this project on April 9th, 2022. It is on a 40 count white vertical even weave, which is the Zweigart. It's 100% cotton. I am doing this 1/2 using DMC 3808 and 3810. It is 56% done. When I started this, I had every intention of trying to get it done within a year of starting it. I didn't expect that I would necessarily be able to get it done by the end of 2022, but I did have this like back of my mind thought I would get it done by like, we'll say the end of the school year in 2023. Obviously, I was a fool. I did not realize how dense this band right here is. This part, and its matching part over here, there's 12 monthly cards for this, because I actually didn't even buy it as the booklet, I bought it as monthly cards, I enjoy it. But 4 of those are very, very stitch heavy. It looks fantastic, by the way, so don't think that I'm saying, but when I say there is a lot, this is a lot of stitching. And you have to be mindful of it because there's all the flower pieces weaving through, so it's not like mindless block filling. It is like, I'm having to pay attention. And it looks fantastic. I love it. It is one of the things that I love about this chart. I truly enjoy the artistry associated with this. But when I am working in the monthly cards that are this full, like this one kind of fast, although that kind of got mired down here. But like when I'm working in these sections, easy. Remember this being easy. This was easy. Even this, it's not that dense. But this right here has been so heavy that I just had gotten stuck and hadn't gotten as far as I wanted to. And this isn't about excuse making. This is about the realization that these are big. And I feel like that has kind of trickled down over time to the designer because I also have the 2024. I just bought the 2025 one, and each one gets a little smaller on the number of stitches involved, and I'm grateful because there is so much in here. But it is absolutely lovely. I mean, straight up, this is my favorite WIP. I'm gonna give you a ranking at the end because I decided why not. But this is my favorite. Like, I truly love this piece. Even when I'm frustrated with it, I love it. Other pieces, when I get frustrated, I get mad at them. This one, I'm like, oh, you're such a pain in my neck, but I love you anyway. Not that I can love you back. It's an inanimate object, but you know what I mean. This one just, it's delightful, and even when I'm mad at it, I'm not really as mad as I could be. Started a week later after Fruit of Plenty is Modern Folk Embroidery's 2020 Stitch Along. This is Family Patchwork Sampler. I started this project on April 16th, 2022. It is also on a white 40 count vertical even weave. I bought a fat half from 123stitch.com, and because I'm doing this on the 40 count, each of these designs, the Fruit of Plenty and Family Patchwork Sampler, are the same length and width, just one is landscape, one's portrait. And on the 40 count, it fits just fine on a fat quarter. My Family Patchwork Sampler is currently 8.5% complete. This one has not received nearly the same amount of love and attention as the Fruit of Plenty. This is I work on it when I work on it. There's progress from last year, not a huge amount, but it's not my first choice in projects. That's all I have to say. In June of 2022, I decided I needed a birthday start that year, and I used my birthday money to buy Heartstring Samplery's Consider the Lilies. I had the chart, I think. I kitted everything up and decided to do the start. This project was started as a birthday stitch on 27 June 2022. And I am doing it on a 28 count winter brew from R&R Reproduction. This is the called for fabric. I am using all of the called for flosses. The pattern calls for 1/2 on a 28 count. That does not work for me. I am stitching this 2/2. It is currently 5% done. This piece is huge. I'm just holding it up this way and gonna talk. Yeah, I'm not going to talk through the fabric. I thought I was going to. I just wanted you to see how the whole thing looks. So this is me going to do the keep it folded over just because otherwise it gets unmanageable to hold, and I can't talk through the fabric. I tried, realized it probably wasn't going to work with my mic setup, and also not my thing. Okay, I did not, last year I thought I was going to pick up this more than I did. I have figured out the way to do it is to take a motif and go to completion. And then just enjoy, when I get this one done, it feels great. When I got this one done, great. When I finish this angel, great. I started a motif, I haven't finished it, I just have kind of left it. No real reason, it just hasn't jumped into my hands when I'm going through and picking out projects to work on in a weeks. I pull them for about a week at a time. It just hasn't hopped into my hands. Not because I dislike it. Actually, I like this very much when I'm working on it. I have other things I've been trying to focus on more. So again, not as much done this year as I might have anticipated. I'm hoping to see more progress with it this year. But again, when I started it, I did not realize how much of a huge project this is. I should have, I didn't, so I am allowing it to just be as much or as little time as necessary, and that's fine, but I do hope the words are down here, so I would like to kind of fill in at least to start getting some of the words. It's just a me, but I don't know that I will. And then I managed to not stamp, so started a whole bunch of samplers at once and then managed to wait until December of 2024 to start No Time Like the Present, which is the Modern Folk Embroidery 2024 Stitch Along. I am trying to finish this in 2025. This is my second newest WIP. I started it on December 30th, 2024. This is the 2024 Stitch Along. I am intending to complete it in 2025 using the exact same pacing that is done in the booklet. I am stitching this 1/2 on a 36 count creme brulee, which I believe is R&R Reproductions. And I'm using DMC 844 and 645 for my two colors. It is, at this time, about 5% done, and I am on track to have it complete by the end of January. The nice part about this project is I'm using it as my daily 30 piece, which means that I am touching it pretty, say I'm averaging about 4 days a week right now, and I'm still this far along. I am really happy with how it's going. I enjoy stitching on it. I love the colors that I've picked. So this one should hopefully not be hanging out here next year, but it is a joy. Again, I didn't think I was a sampler stitcher, and here I am. I have enough, and I want to start more. In fact, my next start is in fact going to be a sampler. Next, I'm going to go through my full coverages. I don't have a lot of them. Some people, like, all of their projects are full coverage. Other people seem to have no full coverage. I seem to live in this weird in-between world. About 25% of my projects are full coverage. And that's with me kind of futzing a couple kits into this. And not because I think that anyone has, like, a monopoly on full coverage designers. There's a ton out there. But you'll see as I go along. The oldest cross-stitch WIP is Heaven and Earth Designs, Winter Kiss. The artist is Adele Sessler. It was started January of 2017, and I believe I started it on January 1st, 2017, as part of the hate group on Facebook challenge that I did not meet at the time, never will. I don't even use Facebook anymore, so isn't that great? I am stitching this on a 25 count Ecru Lugana, and I am stitching 1/1. I was surprised. I'm about third of the way down page 3, and I'm at about 4.8% complete, which is more than I thought it was going to be. Oh my gosh, and I'm like all the way over here. This piece is really big. And this is page 3. Believe it's 7 across. I haven't pulled the actual chart out in so long that I couldn't tell you how many across it goes. This was my jump into full coverage stitching, and I don't know that I should have picked a design as big as I did, but to be fair, I really like the pictures, so maybe, but I haven't really stuck with it. I started way back up here, January 2017. I finished page 2 somewhere in like 2021, 2022. I don't know, it's somewhere on my Instagram. And then this has just been very slow going. Everything about this is slow going. This is a project I never expect to finish. If I do, like 15 years from now, and I'm like finishing up and going, wow, it's almost done, it will have been because something has changed about what I enjoy stitching. I love how it comes out, but despite, this is only like a 36 color chart, the confetti is ridiculous. Now, I know that when I get further down into the people, it won't be as bad, but the confetti has really just made it hard, and I'm only gridding a page at a time. I mean, I guess I could go down and pick different pages, but I don't know that I want to. I really would like to get, if we're going to do this, I actually do kind of want to do the top row, and I don't know, I mean, again, I stitch on it when I stitch on it because I enjoy it, but it rarely calls to me. But this is not what I would actually ever UFO. I guess that's the better way to put it. When I'm in the mood for it, it is the perfect project. And because I have no expectation of finishing it, I find that I do enjoy the time that I spend with it. In June of 2022, I really felt the burning desire to start a kit project. So I ended up, with the help of my viewers and their comments, picking this Busilla Summer Symphony kit. This is an out-of-print chart. Well, chart, it's a kit. I got the whole thing as a kit. It's from 1994. I bought it on eBay. It's still pretty readily available. And by the time I bought it, I thought that it was like, oh, this would be great, stitch up as a gift for my mom. And then discovered later that year, my reason I looked at this and thought of my mom is because she'd already stitched up and had been hanging up in her house for like a decade. Yeah, go me. That's okay. I really enjoy this one. There are areas of here that are not full coverage. I'll show you them. This kit the art is by Aaron Dirtner, who I'm kind of unclear on that, was done through Cooler Design Studio. You can also find full coverage. At one point you could find it on Haid. I don't know if you still can, but Aaron Dirtner's work is still out there for cross-stitching, but generally in much larger formats. This is being done with all of the kit materials, which is a 14 count Ada, and the kit floss, which is whatever Basila uses. I, at one point, could still find, they had a DMC conversion on their website. I don't know if it's still there.
If it is, I'll have that link down below if you're ever interested. It's not an exact one for one. When I had run out of a color before, using their conversion wasn't quite a match, and that wasn't for like a vintage. This one is a vintage chart. It's from 1994. And I started this on June 5th, 2022.
This section right here, the clouds are not stitched. That is the only part of the chart that is not stitched, and all of the clouds is left is like a little bit right here. And there's a lot of like plant matter. So really it's like a cloud right here, and then the rest of it is house and leaves and stuff. All of this is completely filled in. So as far as I'm concerned, this meets a 95% coverage, and I call it a full coverage because that's the category in my mind that it fits the best. And most of this is full cross. Really only the sky section is the half cross. Everything else is full cross except for you can see this is the entire size of the fabric. It's pretty densely packed, but I love it. It's really pretty. And yeah, the one thing I am doing is definitely doing the back stitching. I have been doing the back stitching as I go along. I need to fill in a little more here, but I love that. It's just the kind of thing that when I see it, it makes me happy. So, also from 2022, which if you can't tell, that was a year of starts for me, is Custom Crafts Autumn Chapel. You can also get this from Artisy, as the charting was done by Tarina Clark, and the artist is Mark Keatley. They have a bunch on the Artisy website. I may have bought a bunch of them. Like I have the rest of the seasonal chapels, plus a couple other, I don't know. I will say that this is a much more manageable size compared to the Hades. It's close. It's more like the size of the minis, which means that it's actually doable in a reasonable amount of time.
I started this on September 26th, 2022 for a more manageable size full coverage piece. It is 292 stitches by 222, so roughly half the length and width of Winter Kiss. I am stitching this one on an 18 count white Ada Artiste brand, so the Hobby Lobby Zweigart repackaging. I'm not really clear if there's a difference in quality because I have never bought straight up Zweigart Ada, so I can't tell you one way or the other. I like it. It's on white, and I did have to do a restart at the end of 2023. That's how these things go. And as a result, I don't know how far I got because I have to basically, it's kind of in like this weird, I was tracking it and I didn't untrack what I was doing because I do it manually. So I can't tell you, but we'll say less than 5%.
Now, this poor project, I started it in 2022, got to here, and realized I did not give myself enough margin. I miscut, measure twice, cut once, all of that. I have enough room, so when I decided to do a restart at the end of last year, I found a spot that I went down and I marked it. I think I actually counted, and I hate counting this far on Ada. But yes, there is enough margin at the bottom of this. At some point, I'm going to have to go back and rip all that out. But I'm just happy all the parked threads that have been hanging around for like a year are finally gone. I took care of them a couple weeks ago. And whereas I had been definitely doing a like progressive stair step, I was filling in, because I am filling in from the top right. And I was doing each part of the grid going through. This is much more like, whatever I see that I like and fill in. And I'll see like, oh, there's like a white spot right here. So next time I pull this out, I'll probably be like, oh, what color goes here? And fill in. I don't know, I do enjoy. This wasn't as much fun as this. I guess I'm a little loosey-goosey in this, and that's fine by me. This one's a really pretty piece. Hope to get more work on it. Haven't prioritized it, but, it's enjoyable. I guess in the end, that's what all of my projects should be, so I'm happy. Okay. So my sister called me up. She had just discovered Heaven and Earth Designs, and she was looking through, it was I think the Halloween sale or something. Anyway, she's like, what do you think of this one? And it was Mini Interior of Tintern Abbey. I had been eyeballing this chart for like a couple years and just hadn't actually like jumped on it. And she's like, well, I'm gonna do it. Will you do it with me? And it's like, yes. She has hit the very bottom of she has really put in the work, but She's down at the bottom of the picture. I am not.
I started this project on Thanksgiving of 2022, so that was November 24th. I started this project at the same time as my sister. She is now down in the bottom pages of this chart. I'm still plugging along in page 2. I'd initially planned on having this done by Thanksgiving, page 2, not the whole thing. Page 2 by Thanksgiving of 2024. It did not happen. I'd run out of a color, got sidetracked by other projects. But this one is one that you will be seeing more progress on this year, and it is currently at 12% complete.
I am, however, finally making decent progress on page 2. That's about all I can say. I'm still working in the sky. There will one day be more building, but in the meantime, sky. Yeah, there's not really a lot to say about this one. When I want to work on it, I do a great job with it. When I don't want to work on it, I put it away for months at a time. The halfway point is right about here. Is it over here? It's somewhere like that. Anyway, the over here is not as big as this page. It has a lot of DMC 310 in it. I'm actually kind of hoping that I will continue and at least get this top part done this year. We'll see. That's kind of like a goal. If it happens, great. If not, I mean, we're talking about realistically like 13,000 stitches. I can do it, but I don't know if that 13,000 stitches might need to go into other projects instead. So, yes, that's just I'll see how this year goes. So, I really enjoyed stitching the holiday hoodies that I did as a commission piece back in 2023. So I started in December of 2023 this Dimensions Gold collection, the Holy Night stocking, and I didn't get very far in the week and change that I worked on it in 2023.
Holy Night stocking is stitched on an 18 count ivory Aida. I started this project on December 10th, 2023 as the first of my family stockings. I then sidetracked, did my kids, so this one pretty much sat and got neglected for the entire year. I am planning on trying to complete it this year. I want to say it's like 2% done. Yeah, 2%. The cow is not even done, and that's where I started. That is the middle of the chart. This one does have a decent amount of half stitching, but the half stitching is like 4/1, and I know how brutal that was on 14 count, so this is 18 count. This will be even more interesting, but the effect is beautiful. This is a fully stitched piece, and I think it is going to look amazing when it is done.
I worked on this project really because I decided that I was going to make stockings. I was originally going to prioritize mine and get it done first. I clearly did not do that because I started and finished 3 stockings for my kids this year. Great, I'm happy that I got them done, but now I'd really like to get my stocking and my husband's stocking done. So this is a priority project for this year. But in the meantime, this cow is looking very joyfully, I would say, the infant Jesus. Unfortunately, he is not stitched in yet. So that, again, this will be the work on this year. This is a full coverage piece. It's a lot of stitching, but I think it looks absolutely beautiful. And so I'm very excited about this. This is the group that is distinguished more by its size than by the style of stitching. I put in my smalls category anything that has one of the dimensions is less than 100 stitches long. One of these does not actually quite meet that criteria, or at least in its original form. It does now because I cropped it, but it's how it goes. So in October of 2022, I had started Be Thou My Vision from Heartstring Samplery. This is part of the Sunday Stitches collection, but I have this one as the individual pattern.
I started this project in October of 2022, October 27th to be precise. This was meant to be a project for me to do on Sundays. The pattern is part of a collection called Sunday Stitches, and I was intending on working on it on Sundays until I got it done. And I didn't. It's halfway done. It's been over 2 years. This is one that I definitely want to get done this year. It is not very intense from a stitching standpoint. I am doing it on a 40 count Stars Hollow blend from R&R Reproductions. I do find this is a harder to see. The holes are not the most obvious in bad lighting, but I love the feel of the fabric. The colors jump off of it beautifully, and I am using the DMC conversion that is contained in the pattern. One of the things I really greatly appreciate, Beth Twist of Heartstring Samplery always provides the closest DMC conversion to any overdyes that she is at the time that she creates the chart. And she's the one who really makes clear that sometimes as time goes through with the hand dyers, that their formulas can change. So this is the closest at the time, and she doesn't seem to pick ones that are highly variegated. So that's helpful for me. And I think the DMC conversion looks great.
I will say everything in this category I hope to clear out this year. I have picked up some more patterns that are of this size, but I'm not starting them until I get these done because I just don't want to have a bunch of small projects hanging around. They make me feel uncomfortable, and that's not the goal of this. So my thought is more I get one of these done, then I pick up another small project, and hopefully that way I can get some finishes done pretty routinely because these are very doable in a very short amount of time. Although the fact that this one has been hanging around for 2 years is actually kind of concerning when I think about it that way. In May of 2024, I started Summer House Stitchworks French Kitchen. This is Pears and Rosemary, and thought I'd be done by now, and I'm not.
On May 17th, 2024, I started the French Kitchen Pears and Rosemary. I'm not even going to try to pronounce. It's been too long since I took French. This is from Summer House Stitchworks. I am doing it on 36 count Blackbird's Nest, and I am doing it 1/2 using all the called for overdye flosses.
It is, however, coming along pretty nicely, and there's a matching piece that is blueberries and thyme. I think that's what it was. Something to that effect that I'm doing on the rest of this fabric. This is actually folded in half. But I think it's really cute. I like the choices that I've made for it. So I'm glad I did the floss toss when I bought the fabric. The only thing I'm not a big fan of, the whites in the hand dyes aren't that great. Part of it is because I guess you have to justify that it's not in fact the stark white thread they're starting with, but they don't always pop off fabric as much as I might like I don't know, this one might have actually benefited from just using a DMC substitution. But, that's a live and learn. It looks good. I like where it is in this valence, so the fact that you really can't see those same X shapes around the pears, so what? It's okay. And then for New Year's Eve, actually, it was December 31st, 2024, I decided to start the Primitive Hares Betsy Ross flag. This one is technically a little bit bigger than my small category. It is 108 wide by 160 tall. I, however, have cropped off the Betsy Ross flag and these spools, so it's now like 70 something wide, which puts it firmly in my smalls category.
My newest project start from New Year's Eve, December 31st, 2024. I am doing the Betsy Ross flag with modifications. This is being done on the 30 count Constitution, also by the Primitive Hare. And my stitch count for the modification, it's going to be 144 by 82. I am using the called for flosses.
I really don't have this one I have nothing to say about. There's nothing bad, and just I don't really have anything to say about it. I've been working on this project for 3 weeks. I hope to get it done in the next couple months. Not a lot to say. I think maybe that's the thing about sometimes these smaller ones. It's I don't have any. Your projects are almost like acquaintances. The more time you have with them, the more you learn things about them, about how you respond to challenges you run into. This one, really, but the only thing that is distinguishing about this project is the first time I've really decided to crop and not do an entire chart. Usually I do a chart, I'm going to do the chart exactly pretty much as it is. And here I was yeah, I'm going to change it up. And I am happy with that so far, so hopefully this will be a good fun. This is the beginning. I'm trying to do a fair amount of Americana over the next year and a half, so this is the first piece I picked out for it, and I hope it goes well. Some people call them fancy ladies. I realize I pretty much only have them from Mirabilia Designs, so this section is still just called Mirabilias. I have looked around, and I realized one of the reasons I had fallen in love with Mirabilias way back 2002 when I first ran into them is there's not a huge number of designers working in this particular style. First for my Mirabilias this year. I started this in the first week of March 2022, and this is the Stargazer.
This was my first of the 4 Mirabilias I started in March of 2022, so this was on March 2nd. I am doing it on a 28 count raw natural linen Zweigart. I tend to buy Zweigart linens. I just enjoy them. This is using all the called for flosses and beads, 2/2. The nice part, the beads fit really nicely on a 28 count. All my other Mirabilias have been on 32 count, and sometimes the beads get very crowded. Do not have this issue with this particular on that 28 count. Well, I guess it'd make a bunch of the other ones very hard to fit on a fat quarter. So presumably why the rest of them are on 32 count. I am at 37% complete.
I don't know if there are Mirabilias with more beads than the Stargazer, but I would be hard-pressed to find one that is a sheer percentage of the picture that uses more. I love the beads. I love the effect of the beads. I do not love beading. So if I am feeling in the mood for beading, I will go ahead and I will go with that as long as I can hold on, because then I will just, like, I've kind of ran out of, I don't want to bead, and I have other projects that need beading. So I will probably switch back to working on the DMC on this for a while. But this one is truly lovely. I got everything, I kitted everything up in 2020, and I don't know why it's taken me so long to really make headway on this. This is probably my favorite of the Mirabilias outside of the Seasonal Queens. The Seasonal Queens are my first love. I've loved them since I was in college. But of the ones that I have found since, this is probably my favorite design. So, like I said, I love it. I don't know when I'm going to get it done, but she's so pretty. And so many beads. So many beads. All of this area right, all these swirls, beads. All of this, beads. Beads down here. There's more swirls. There are swirls everywhere. So many beads. And I'm not even done up here. But, oh, it's so pretty. So pretty. My focus Mirabilia, and it has been since I finished Autumn Queen, is Winter Queen.
This was the second project I started that March for my Mirabilia Madness. I don't even remember what I was thinking. I had all the charts. I had things kitted up, and I was just going to start them. So March 13th, 2022, I started the last of my Seasonal Queens on a 32 count white Belfast linen. It is a huge cut because this is it's basically trimmed down fat half, but there's plenty of room for, it matches the size of all the other cuts. They were just the very first time when I bought the 2 cuts that I used for Summer Queen and Spring Queen. They were very generous. I made Autumn Queen and Winter Queen match. So I have a lot of room for matting. Lucky me. This might get very expensive in the end because I am going to get these professionally framed because it's all 4 of them. I'm crying inside a little bit right now just thinking about it. Anyway, I am at 64% complete on Winter Queen.
She's coming right along. This one will be done before next year, so she'll be a finish. And then once I get the finish done, I really had wanted her to be finished in 2024. It didn't happen. It's fine. But I am just so badly, I mentioned I discovered Mirabilia Designs back in 2002. It was someone stitching up all 4 of the Seasonal Queens on a blog. Cross-stitch blogs never quite worked out, and I loved blogs, but whatever. I will say I do definitely love being able to see people's Flosstube. I get so much more out of it. But anyway, someone had a blog where they had these, and I just knew I absolutely had to stitch them. This is the last of those because I did Spring Queen and Summer Queen first, finished Autumn Queen last year, and now if I can get her done, they can all get framed in identical frames and they can go on my wall and make me so happy. Also started in March of 2022, Royal Holiday.
I started Royal Holiday on March 19th, 2022, and this is on a 32 count light mocha linen. I liked it better than the called for, which is, I believe, toasted almond. I like the light mocha. I find that the whisper pops just fine on it, which was my primary concern, and it complements. I don't know. I like it. It is a little lighter, but it works for me. And she is currently, this project is at 12% completion.
Now for Royal Holiday, I really don't have a lot to say. I knew about her, I want to say she was, I don't know when her release was. She was like the 5th. It was like it's parentheses, a Christmas queen, but I don't really recognize her as being part of the seasonal queens. And you really, because of the cloak, you really can't do her on white. And for the longest time, I was like, oh, I don't ever want to touch this. And then I saw a picture of a completed one, and I realized that I loved the reds, and that I, in fact, wanted to do this. I think I got also a little more into the idea of collecting the Mirabilias. I have probably about 25 of these charts. I haven't counted them. I have a lot. Probably should show everybody one of these days. But I was like, okay, and in March 2022, I got the bright idea. I was going to just start a bunch of Mirabilias, like one a week for the entire week of March, which is great. So that's why I have 4 of them. This one was the 3rd one started that month, and it's coming along. I tend to pick this one up less than like Winter Queen and Stargazer, but I like it, and I'm really happy that I've put in the greenery, because it provides a contrast. It had gotten almost a little boring with everything being either shades of, yellow to brown, but all of this in one thing, and then like the reds, and that was like it. So the green is just like, oh, that looks good. I like it. But again, this one is kind of almost waiting for a couple of the other Mirabilias to be done before I really focus on it. And the last of the Mirabilias that I have is Lady of the Mist, also started in March of 2022. And this one has received the least amount of work on it. Surprise! I started it, and then I didn't realize until I was looking at all the old photos, and that I didn't even touch this one in 2023, and I'm happy that I managed to even do anything with it in 2024.
I started this on March 28th, 2022. It is stitched using all the called for materials on a 32 count raw natural linen. I have made very little progress on this, like embarrassingly so. I'm not even tracking it because I only picked it up once last year and I think once in 2023. So since it's had minimal work, I can't even tell you how far I am. When I pick the project up, I have to make sure that I am facing the correct orientation, because it is literally that not obvious to me right now.
Do I think I'm going to touch it this year? Maybe. If I do, it's going to get like a couple days, like 2 days, one Flosstube update, and that'll be it. This is just not a priority project for me in any way, shape, or form right now. I like it, but for whatever reason, even though I feel like I should love these colors, because I do, I don't love them enough to prioritize. I don't know why. It's fine. Again, it's beautiful. And when the time is right, because I have been excited about this chart for actually a pretty decent, I got this one pretty quickly. Like, I ordered it, I want to say, because I didn't have it. No, I found it in the shop, never mind. But when I found this, I knew that I really wanted to stitch it, but it just, like, once I just got started, and it duplicates some of what I'd been getting from the others. It's just in different colors. I like the colors, but I have been prioritizing trying to get more progress and not so much of spreading myself over 4 Mirabilias. So I've really been working on like 3 Mirabilias, and this is just in the hopper. Started, it's kitted, but it's not getting worked on. My last cross stitch category is my miscellaneous. These are things that don't quite fit anywhere else as far as I'm concerned. So the oldest one for this is Ink Circles Tapestry, which I started in January of 2019.
This is the New Year, New Start for January 2019 using all the called for flosses. I am stitching this on a 30 count khaki from Weeks Dye Works, and it's only a 2-inch margin all the way around, which is somewhat of a mistake, but it's how it worked best with the square design fitting it on the fat quarter of fabric I bought. So rolling with it. The 30 counts is not my preferred. I kind of wish I had bought a 32, maybe even a 36, but live and learn.
So one of the cool things about this, I started it in January of 2019, and I did not, if you asked me at the time if I was going to be working on it in January of 2025, I would have said, no way. Now, of course, when I had first started this, the entire fall of 2018, I had been really productive in staying on track with working on projects. I had first started messing around with uploading to Flosstubes, and then I got overwhelmed in 2019 and functionally had stopped stitching. When I stopped posting, it wasn't just that I had stopped posting, I stopped stitching. Didn't really touch anything until later, so April 2020. You see some videos if you go back and look at my history. And then I struggled to hold the momentum there. It was 2020. The world was overwhelmed in 2020. Anyway, so I didn't get anything done. So the kind of cool thing, though, is thinking on this in hindsight, I remember when it was a shiny new project, I was very excited about it. I really remember loving this corner here. And then I got bogged down when I was trying to do the center out, make it, really appreciate the symmetry of the mandala. Not me. I now know that. And so it's cool that since I've had the time, I can go from a project that I was excited about to a project that at one point I really was considering UFOing this. That's how much I disliked working on it. And now I'm oh, I love this project. I want to spend time on it. It is kind of cool how there is a time and a place for everything that you pick out. And sometimes I have to trust myself and go hey, if I picked this out for a reason, it spoke to something in me at that point in time. And if I chose something that is true to me, then that won't just pass and I'll be oh, why did I just do that? You can really, you enjoy it. So, I don't know. That's just what I got from this. But I do love this project and hope I spend some good quality time with it in 2025. In March of 2022, not just starting for Mirabilias, but at the end of the month, because I apparently don't make good life choices, I decided to start yet another project. So 5 in a month was a little ridiculous. Anyway, Modern Folk Embroidery's Ave Maria, the Annunciation, and I started this on the Feast of the Annunciation, so March 25th, and at the time, I foolishly said that I hoped I'd get it done by Christmas. And now I laugh at myself because that would have been Christmas 2022, and it's January 2025. And,
in the past made this a focus piece and then not focused on it, so it's still not complete. I am stitching this on a 36 count white linen 2/2. The blue is DMC 311. I like it. I love the coverage. Sometimes think I should have done this as a 1/2. This is where 36 count gets tricky. It is currently 28%. Oh no.
I will say that I had gotten to the point where I wasn't sure that I wanted to work on this project. I had set it as a goal to get done in 2023, and I could not make myself work on it, and it was kind of a mojo killer, to be honest. I did not want to stitch anything because I had created a goal where I needed to get this one done, I think by September 30th, 2023. It wasn't going to happen, and I was just, bad idea. It's fine, because I picked it up yesterday, and I had a blast filling this stuff in. So, again, I guess every project has its time and its place, and I've been enjoying this one. And I don't know, I saw it listed somewhere, I think maybe Instagram, maybe it was someone's Flosstube. So, I see things, and then I'm I remember seeing the thing, but I don't remember where. But I was talking about someone that they were doing some of the modern folk embroideries that are not the fruit of plenty. Like, there's ones that everybody does, and then there's ones that nobody does, and they singled out Ave Maria for that, and I'm like, oh, don't say that. This is a beautiful chart. I love the border. I don't love stitching these flowers, but the border is beautiful. And it's just, oh, it is lovely. So, this one I am going to say I would like to try to get done this year. But it's like everything else. If it doesn't get done, it doesn't get done. I had bought a bunch of the Teresa Wensler patterns off of Patterns Online, 2020, I think. I was buying cross-stitch patterns and not necessarily doing anything with them. Well, I decided in the fall of 2022 I needed some more seasonal stitching because I didn't have enough projects. What was I thinking? Anyway, in this case, though, I had the perfect choice, which is Fall Carousel Horse from Teresa Wensler, and started it that month.
This is the first Teresa Wensler pattern I have ever done, and I started it on October 29th, 2022. I'm using a 32 count antique white linen. It's cut down a little bit, but I have bought an entire yard I have the patterns for all 4 of the seasonal carousel horses, and I'm stitching them all on the same antique white fabric. This one is at about 10% done.
Not gonna lie, this is not one of my biggest projects. I mean, it's not huge, it's not small. This is probably close to a medium-sized project for me. But this is one of the most complicated. And it doesn't have any specialty stitches. It just has a ton of quarter stitches, a ton of blends, so keeping the blends in order, and all the back stitching. So much back stitching, and I love it. Like, yes, it's complicated, and it is so incredibly rewarding to see all the colors and all the work in the lines just come together to make something beautiful. It's the best way to do. If you can see it, if you compare these tassels that have not been backstitched yet to what's going on with these leaves, or even the leaves that have been backstitched next to the ones that haven't, how much everything just pops. And that is what I have to say. I understand why people say that Teresa Wensler patterns can be frustrating because there's just a lot going on packed in a small space, but absolutely beautiful. And I think when I started this, I had this idea. I bought an entire yard of the fabric, so it's one for each of the seasons. I think I told myself I was going to start each of them like winter 2023, spring 2020, or yeah, like later this winter, like probably like around New Year's 2023, somewhere in the spring of 2023, summer 2023, and I have all 4 of them going in rotation and only work on it during the time when it was seasonally appropriate. I don't know. Sometimes I get in the mindset that one should be like seasonally stitching, and the other times I'm like, that's just stupid. Do what you want. I get it though, if you're like, these are all very similar, but I decided I wanted to like basically just get one done and then I move on to the next one. Kind of how I ended up doing with the seasonal queens from Mirabilia. It seems much more appropriate than trying to like manage 4 of the identical projects. They're not identical to the colors, but the feel is. So when I get done with this one, I'll have another one waiting that I can continue in a different set of colors. That's exciting to me. So it works out well. Okay. Oh man, to the last of my cross stitch projects, Long Dog Samplers Mick the Miller, and I started this one in September of 2023.
I started this on September 4th, 2023, with the intent of it not being huge. I didn't really look at the dimensions, and I thought I could get it done by Christmas of 2023. That didn't happen. Then when I whipped that deadline, I didn't put the time into it last year, so it's still not done. It needs to be done. I have intentions for getting this one complete, but that's fine. It is stitched with DMC 310 and B5200 1/2 on a 36 count Nantucket Brew. I love the contrast. I think this is a beautiful, beautiful gray.
From height and width, this one is just a touch too big to go into my smalls category, and it's almost suffering from it because it's not one of my big projects. It's not one of my small projects. It's one of those that I told myself was going to be fast. It hasn't been fast. It needs to be done. And I was trying to figure out why it's one of my least favorite projects, even though I love the dogs. Super cute. I have had so many times when I have to frog on here, and it's just like, it gets frustrating. I had to frog this number 8 3 times because I made spectacular boo-boos 3 times. Yeah. And so, but it's not the only place. I had to do a lot of frogging down here, frogging. I've had to frog in this project so much. When I pick it up, I get frustrated because I know I'm going to sit and end up having to frog it. Like, you would be unhappy in that case too, right? Yeah, so that's why it's unfortunately like one that I struggle to work on. It's just because when I pick it up, all that prior frustration is still there. And part of me is like, just push through and get it done, and then it's gone, and then you don't have to worry about it, and I won't be frustrated. But I like to avoid things. Not gonna lie, that's my thing. So in the meantime, it just hangs around and annoys me instead, and I don't know that that's the right thing to do. Oh well. My needlepoint group is pretty tiny. I only had 2 projects last year, and then with a finish, I only have 1 left. I do include it though because the designer in this case is Barbara Bratz of Cooler Design Studio, and so just because I'm working in wool over mesh canvas, it really still, it stylistically feels very cross-stitch-like to me. So this is a Busilla kit. It's called Geraniums. I bought it in 2006, so this is my oldest WIP period, and as fast as needlepoint goes, I really should have it done, and I've said that for each of the last 2 videos, the WIP Parades specifically, and yet it's still not done. This is a needlepoint kit that I started in 2006 when I was pregnant with my first child, who's graduating high school this year, so this is truly my oldest WIP. I picked it up again in 2022 and have been making decent progress, about 50% complete. This is stitched on a 14 count interlock canvas mesh. The finished design is 14 by 14. It's clearly meant to be something like a decorative cushion or pillow. I'll finish it as a pillow. That said, it is coming along really nicely. This is a priority piece for me this year. Not like the highest priority, but it is a priority piece. So hopefully this will be like finished in a pillow. That would be just bring me such joy. But I mean, it'll get done when I get it done. And I don't know how that'll work out. My first finish of 2024 is Mirabilia Designs Autumn Queen. I don't know if I have anything to say about this. It's been a year. So I folded her up, put her in a box, and have not truly looked at her since probably I'd say February. And so when I pulled her out to iron her, because she'd been folded, I forgot how many red beads there are. So just there's some beads, there's a couple of treasures. I can't believe, because it's the very last thing I did in the project, it doesn't stick with me, like all of this. Oh, I remember very well. There was many hours spent with it. The beading at the end, I flew through. And if you'll note from where it was in the 2024 WIP Parade, she was really almost done when I shared her last year. And I said at the time, this is the one I'm gonna get done. And I got her done like a week and a half later. So really, because all that was left was beading. This is not a extensive beading project for Mirabilia. I'd call this one, it's honestly one of the smaller ones. The biggest pain is dealing with these ropes, only because I do my beads on polyester thread. I shared that in my last video. It's just the stuff you get. It's on the spool at like a fabric store. But for these, I put them on generally white DMC, just because I don't trust the polyester not to get like funky over time. So for the most fluid drape, I go with the cotton thread. The problem is when you wash this, the cotton thread will always stretch with the weight of the beads. I have had that happen enough times. I'm like, okay, I know it's gonna happen. So this has come down just a very barest little bit but not too bad. My Summer Queen was much worse for this. But overall, like, this was like the hardest part of the beading, but this was all pretty straightforward, and I really enjoy this project. And honestly, now that I pulled her back out, I want to touch all of my finished Mirabilia pieces and get them framed and on a wall, and wouldn't that be super dandy? Because I've been dreaming of these being finished since I bought them in 2002. The second finish from 2024 is a Design Works kit called Start Doing. And this is the completed piece. I finished it in the spring. This one was the interesting because for last year's video I said I need to get it done or I need to UFO it. UFO being an unfinished object where you just say, I'm done. This is never getting finished. I don't know, I don't UFO things generally, but this had turned into if I was going to UFO an object, it was going to be this one, and I said, or I can finish it. And it's funny how once I did give it a, I don't know, boot up my own butt to get it done. Got it done really quickly. I enjoyed it. I have to say, I've said in the past, I'll say it again, I learned that I don't mind stitching on the darker Ada. I learned I'm not the biggest fan of stitching words. There's something about typography. It's fun. I love looking at it. I don't always love stitching it. I find it less straightforward to stitch than, say, words in a more sampler style, so I don't know. It's not that I dislike it. I mean, this is not I won't call this a beautiful design. It's a adequate design. Maybe if I tried one of the Stitch Review ones, I'd be like, oh, this is amazing and it's different. I had fun. Like I said, I learned something with it. Don't know what I'm going to do with it, although it should fit in like a teeny tiny frame. So in the meantime, it's just going to kind of hang out in my box of prior finished projects. And then the last of the pieces from last year is this Dimensions Needlepoint kit, which is, it's a 5" by 5" design, butterflies and zinnia. Butterfly and zinnia. So this kit was a pass along from my sister. She raises monarch butterflies every year. So, problem is, the only butterflies she likes are monarch butterflies. She started this and just wasn't really feeling the love for the tiger swallowtail, which, I'm sorry, I mean, they really are beautiful. The variants that you see that are black, and they'll have the blue, like that iridescent, I really like that variant, the yellow ones that I see all the time. They're kind of boring. Sorry about the thing about the butterflies. But anyway, she also didn't have a frame. She was doing it in hand. These really are easier. I mean, as you can see, I've honestly still left it in the stretcher bars just because I haven't sat down to find a frame for it, and so I didn't want to. But this uses the same flosses as all of your Dimensions kits. Like, it is exactly the same. The only difference is that you're expected to do this. It's all 6 strands. But I had fun with it. I enjoy messing around with needlepoint sometimes. So it was a good project, and I'm glad that I got it done. Having made it to the end of the video, I know WIP parades can get very long. And I don't know, but I love them for that because I like to watch other people's parades, and I sit down and cross stitch, and it's amazing. So I see things that I didn't know existed, things that I wasn't sure that I'd seen, but it was like, oh, and then I see the WIPs, I'm like, oh, that's beautiful. I don't know. I just think it's great. I really love seeing everybody's work. I hope that you guys enjoyed seeing what I'm working on. I'm hoping to get a lot of stuff done this year. I came up with a list of 11 that are priorities, and I kind of ranked all my projects from like most favored down to least favored. So top of the list is things I love, Fruit of Plenty. Thing I'm frustrated with, Summertime Coverlet, and just above it is Pick the Miller. That's fine. In between is a lot of whatever I'm feeling in a moment. They're all kind of the same. But where I'm going with that is when I picked out my 11, I made sure that I wasn't just setting myself to only work on the projects that I dislike the most, and that I realized actually of my 23 WIPs, the 11 really is really nicely interspersed through everything. So maybe you agree with how I feel about my projects. I realize some of it's about personal frustrations that are attached to things that I wanted done. Some of them will be like, why do you rank that one so high? Why is that one so low? I don't know, it just is what it is. But thank you again so much for stopping by. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. I have been on track, actually making videos on a somewhat routine basis again, which is kind of nice. So, with that, please come back next time, see where I'm going. I have new starts, two new starts planned for the next week. So I hope to make like a decent start on that. And yeah, I realize, oh, I'm back into like I'm making starts. That's fine. I have the places to hold them. I have all the materials. Like, I'm ready to roll. But anyway, with that, please come back and I will see you next time. Bye.
Last year, when I was putting together my WIP Parade, my husband was convinced that I said Whip It Raid. Now, I don't know what a Whip It Raid would look like, but thanks to all of the silly generative AI tools out there now, I'm offering you this picture of some Whippets acting as commandos because my husband was very upset that I didn't even mention Whip It Raid last year. So if you made it here all the way to the end, you get to enjoy my absolutely ridiculously bad AI prompt work. And I'll just let you know that nobody is using Whippets as any type of operator dogs in any way, shape, or form, which is just as well because I can barely get mine to sit on a routine basis. They're not terribly trainable, and they're considered the most trainable of the hounds. Bless them. I love my dogs, but they are not the brighter parts of God's creation.